Hey folks, I wanted to throw out a quick apology real quick. It's been forever since I put a video out, and sorry about that, but I want you to know my channel is still active and I still plan on updating it and doing videos. I've just been super busy. I've started a new job, a full-time job, and it's actually more than a full-time job, kind of always on call, always doing things, and I've just been super busy. Plus trying to finish up my CZ book. It's due September 1st, and a lot going on. So once that clears, hopefully I'll get back to putting videos out on a regular basis. But I wanted to put this one out. It's a very controversial pistol. It's the Remington R51. This one here is the Gen 2. It's just hitting the shelves now. When they first put it out, as you know, if you've been following the gun community for a couple years now, it was a complete flop. And it was very controversial because they took the prototype pre-production models and that's what they gave to the gun writers in the big magazines, and so they all went out and fired it and shot perfectly, shot great, and they wrote all these articles about how great it was. And Remington also did a good job of, a lot of the writers that they chose were ones that were kind of good at liking everything that they shoot, let's just put it that way. But you know, it really wasn't the gun writers' faults. It was Remington for using those pre-production models. The ones they put out were the exact opposite. They were horrible. They had fails. A lot of people couldn't even shoot them. And a lot of the good, the new gun media, I want to say, like on YouTube and blogs and all that, were the ones reporting the problems. And a lot of these guys said that when they went to the store to pick up the new handgun, they could hardly pull the slide back, and when they could, it felt like it was really sandy and gritty, like someone took a handful of sand and threw it in there. On the firing range, a lot of these guys couldn't even get them to extract. They were having issues feeding. It was just a horrible experience. There were a couple people got hurt. Some of the gas was venting out the back, and one blogger, it says it cut his hand a little bit. And just all kinds of issues. And another issue too, it wasn't going fully into battery, and it was firing out of battery, so there were like some ruptured cases, all kinds of problems. So they pulled it off. They told everybody, if you want a replacement, send it in, we'll pay for shipping, we'll send you a new one when it comes out, and we will send you, for your troubles, 2 extra magazines and a nice Pelican case. And they had a release date, and that went by, it didn't come out. Another release date, didn't come out. Several release dates went by and it didn't come out, and there was nothing on the Remington website. No communication or nothing. So I was kind of concerned it was a dead project, and I liked the looks of it. I thought it looked nice. It was a very different design. So I wanted one from the start, but then when I read how horrible they were, I was really disappointed. And fortunately, here it is. I first, probably several weeks ago, I heard it was finally going to hit the shelves. As soon as I found out it was coming out, I called my local gun shop, mjgunsmithing.com, or mjgunshop.com actually, and he got me one within 3 days. Called the dealer and got me one. So I went out and tested it. My intent was to shoot 1,000 rounds through it. I took a buddy of mine out with me to help me. Unfortunately, it heated up it got so hot. I was at a range, I had limited time. So we ended up shooting in about an hour 15, hour 20, 25 minutes around in there, which is a lot of rounds to shoot in a short amount of time. So the gun heated up to the point that after about 650 rounds, it became more of a torture test, and that was not my intent. I wanted to test reliability. So at the end of that time, it started getting too hot, and I called it after 700 rounds. So let me backtrack here for a second. Here's the case. That's what it comes with. Lock. That's about it. It does come with 2 magazines, and which I've pulled those out. Here's the magazine. Single stack, 7 round. This is the 700 rounds of ammo I've shot through. Different stuff. Got some 6 Sauer. The V-Crown, I got some 6 Sauer FMJ, American Eagle FMJ, Hot Shot FMJ, which I've been extremely impressed with this stuff. I got some Black Hills. This is their 124 grain plus P, and this is Perfecta. Get that out of the way. And here's the handgun. And like I said, I was extremely excited to see that it was coming out again. Here's a close look at the handgun. A lot of the issues that they were having with this gun initially, Remington did address, at least with this model. I can't speak out, you know, quality control, Remington, I've heard a lot of complaints and I've had issues, so, you know, I can't speak for everything. I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna speak for this handgun specifically. I didn't have a whole lot of trouble with it, and actually I'll give you a rundown of what happened. I fired 5 rounds, I believe it was, or excuse me, 5 magazines. The first 5 magazines, I had 1 or 2 issues, I believe it was, where the slide would lock to the rear, and I quickly found out that was kind of my fault. My thumb lands right where this is. There's not a lot of real estate here because this frame is so low, and my thumb was right there. So once I moved it out, I didn't have that problem anymore. After that, that was a non-issue. So that's like an issue of training. If you're going to buy this, you have to realize your thumb could potentially hit that depending on the size of your hands and how everything works. So I found if I just hold my thumb outside or up so that it's not touching the slide, it worked fine. And I didn't have any issues with with it firing out of battery, none at all. And the slide is kind of easy to work. So I guess the issue with the first one is maybe the spring wasn't strong enough. This one here seemed to work fine. Now I had 4 failures to feed, all of them with hollow points. I had 2 with the Sig Sauer hollow points and 2 with the Black Hills, and 2 of them hit above the frame, or excuse me, above the barrel, and then 2 of them hit down on the feed ramp. So I had 4 of those. Then in the end, and this is kind of why I called it, magazine 3 and 4 from the end of what I fired, so you're talking about around about 670 to 685, around in there, I had 2 cartridges that didn't extract. Now that was an issue that they had before, from what I understand, is the extraction. So they did beef up the extractor on this. But I don't know if that was because the gun was hot. You couldn't touch the barrel, and the slide was to the point where you almost couldn't touch that either. So I don't know if that had to do with heat. I'm not sure. But I did have those 2 issues of extraction, where it wouldn't extract, and so the next round it double fed. So those were the only issues I had. I had 6. I had 4 failure to feed and 2 failures to extract out of 700 rounds. And like I said, the failure to extract could have been the heat. So other than that, no issues. Now I'll say this about it. It is a very good accurate pistol. This here, 10 feet. This is the Sig V Crown. And this is the Black Hills. And then I had a second one with the V Crown, didn't do quite as well with that one. And I don't know why I didn't do a second one of Black Hills. I guess I was kind of in a hurry, but so I got good accuracy. Now shootability, this is awesome. This pistol is probably one of the most comfortable to shoot handguns I've fired, and I would rank it up there, especially for the size. I would rank it up there probably somewhere between maybe a G19 and a G17, that size of pistol when it comes to comfort. The recoil on it, very minimal, and it seems to come straight back. There was not a lot of muzzle flip at all. And if you look at this, and I'll see if I can get a good angle here, when you put your hand here, the barrel is right here, so it's almost like cradled in your hand. It has, if I remember correctly, I actually measured it, it was just over ½ an inch of bore axis. The Glock, as a comparison, is an extremely low bore axis also. That bore axis is about 0.8 inches. So this is it's about ½ an inch, and the Glock is 0.8. So it's even shorter than the Glock. So that is very impressive. It shoots great. The other thing with it, the takedown on it is horrible. This is probably the worst takedown on any pistol I've had, especially a modern pistol. It's just kind of weird. Now, first off, this is recessed. This is going to be extremely difficult to do on camera here. I've kind of got it down. It has improved a little bit since I've done it 3 or 4 times now, but on camera it's going to be difficult. So you pull this out. Now, and something else, I haven't cleaned this gun yet because I want to take it out and put another 300 rounds through it, but there we go. It's extremely filthy. Now from here, you have to pull it back a little bit, and then you have to pull on the barrel, which is kind of weird to me, but, and I've actually had to issue something. There we go. That time it came off easy. Then from here, take this and lift up and tilt. So you pull the barrel out. Didn't stay that time. This takedown, like I said, is not good. This is one thing that I don't like about this pistol, and I just never had that happen before. There we go. So take the barrel out. You got this. There we go. Bushing. Now, as I said, it's very dirty. The most interesting thing about this is the Peterson block. You know, a lot of them have the firearm block is, or excuse me, the firing pin block is molded into the frame. I mean, that's how like 99% of them are. This has a Peterson block. And what this does, it actually cants down it when it goes into battery, it is up. Excuse me, it goes back a little bit. When the slide starts going back, after it's been fired, this cams down and then moves back a little bit, and then there's a block right here that stops it, and that's how it. Here's the ejector. It hits that ejector and then flies out. So it's a little bit different. But this causes it when the pressure is still high and you don't want to extract the bullet quite yet, it's going to hold it in place and it locks. Once that pressure has ceased and it can eject, it'll start going back and it'll cam down a little bit. So it's a really interesting design, to me anyway. Assembly, now this is where it actually gets really hard. Assembly is no joke. Stick this in. You want that tilted up a little bit, and you put the barrel in there, lug side up, and there we go. So the barrel will move like that now. Now you take this, and here's the channel, and like I said, this is completely filthy. Take that channel, that goes up. This goes to the back, the firing pin right there. And you're gonna pull forward. Actually, the other thing, you have to make sure the barrel here is lined up, and for some reason it doesn't always line up good. I've found, actually, a lot of times I need to take something else and pull the barrel up. Once you get it fed in there, it's fine. All right, so now I got it in. So now the barrel will actually come up if I wanted to. Now it's fine. I don't know why it's so hard to get it to do that, but all right, so the Peterson device goes in. You got to move the barrel forward just a little bit to do that. So at this point, we got it mostly put together, and that was kind of the hard part. Now this part here is kind of difficult also, and you have to make sure that you get this right. You slide the barrel on there. This catches right here. You just move it past. Now you want to make sure that that extractor is down, or excuse me, the ejector is down. Now from here, see, this barrel. One of the things you have to watch out for, you have to make sure that the ramp is straight down, because it will twist, and if it twists, it will not go in all the way. There we go. So that should be back. Okay. Now from here, you put this. Move that back, the slide, so that that is lined up, that little notch right there for the takedown lever. Now you want to make sure that there's a little lip right here. You want to make sure that goes under that. If it doesn't, it will lock open every time, almost like the last round lockup. Now you can tell if that happened, because if there's no magazine in here, and you go like this, if you did it improperly, if you go like that, it's going to lock back, because that spring won't be under there to hold it down. So if you did that, it's good to go. Should be good to go. So it's just kind of finicky, but there it is. So I believe that's all I have. Oh, let me address the trigger real quick. Now this trigger is really weird. It's a very odd trigger. First off, you can move it left to right, which I don't really like, okay? So when I first got this and playing with it, I did not like the trigger. Now I'll say this about it. Once you fire it, it's actually a really good shooting trigger. It's kind of spongy at first. And also, there's a grip safety. Make sure you got that down. When I hold this in my hand and play with it, sometimes it'll bind up with the trigger, but that hasn't been an issue when I fired it. Just by gripping it, it kind of snaps. It's not like a 1911 that's kind of squishy. It actually kind of snaps in place. So firing it, I didn't have any issues at all. Didn't even notice it was there. It was like breathing. Didn't even have to think about it. Anyway, back to the trigger. Trigger is kind of squishy. It's got a squishy take up. And the brake, it's very odd. It's like a pop. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like a pop, almost like a toy. But it's clean. It's a clean brake. And shooting it, it is a very, very nice trigger to shoot. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Now, the reset on it is horrible. There's no audible or tactile indication that the trigger is reset. So you don't have to let it all the way out. It actually resets at about halfway. You just don't know that it reset. So that kind of led to a lot of issues. I run the reset really hard on my guns for the fast follow-up. With this, you really can't. You know, after you've owned it for a while and maybe you're used to it, you could. But, you know, my first time at the range, there was a couple times where I just didn't let it out far enough and it didn't go bang. So you got to kind of watch that. So here it is, and due to all the issues they had with this initially, I'm not going to recommend or tell you to buy it or not buy it, either way. It's kind of your call. I've presented the facts that are here. I think in all, I mean, the build quality is decent. The frame is, you know, there was issues with the smoothness before. I feel for the most part it's good. It's just as good as like a Ruger LC9 or anything like that as far as smoothness. The only issue, and it's something you can't really, I don't think they can really address, this is not threading. This is where you grip the barrel to pull it off. That is kind of what rubs on there. And then there's another part I was thinking about that was kind of rubbing too. But it's not like a bad negative thing. It's just due to the design of the gun. It's going to do that. So I took all the internals out and put the slide on the frame, and then it's pretty smooth in that manner. So as far as I know, now I never held the first one, so it's kind of hard for me to compare it to, but from what I understand what the issue was with the first one, this slide here seems to be pretty good. The grip is good. I like the front checkering. I kind of wish they had some checkering in back, but I don't know how well that'd work with the grip safety. Once I took it to the range, not having any texture back there was no big deal, because like I said, it shot perfectly. Way better than any of the other pistols of this size. I can tell you that, right? You know, I can tell you that for a fact. The G26, G43, the LC9, way better than any of those. All the compact ones I've shot, or subcompacts. This is kind of borderline. I'm not sure, subcompact or compact. Not sure. Kind of borderline, but shot way better than any of them. So for me, I did buy it. If I hadn't bought it before I tested it, I would say I would still buy it. For me, I would still buy it as another gun in my collection, because I like it. I like the looks of it. I like the design. It's an interesting gun. Now the question is, would I carry it? At this point, I would say no, just because I'm so familiar with my Glocks, and I've never had any failures out of my Glocks. Out of the G26 that I normally carry. I've never had a failure out of that. So nothing's really going to knock that off as my first carry gun, ever. And my CZ Rammy that I sometimes carry, never had any malfunctions out of that either. So, and that's I would say probably one of my other top carry guns. My G43, I did have 2 initial failures in the first 250 rounds, not a failure since. G19, G17, any of the other carry guns, this is not going to knock any of those off the perch. So no, I would not carry those. Not because it's a horrible gun. I've had less failures out of this than I did my LC9, and I did carry that for a long time. I don't think the failures I had with this out of 700 rounds, I don't think are terrible. And a test that I'll conduct in the future as I progress in ownership with this is I will buy different types of hollow points and see how they shoot. Now, if I could put 50 to 100 rounds out of other hollow points without any failures, then that'd be fine. You know, I'd probably, I would consider carrying it. Like I said, I probably wouldn't because I'm entrenched in the guns that I have for carry, but it would be an option. So there you have it. The R51 Gen 2. It seems like they fixed everything. Everything seems to be good. But it'll be important to see what other people are getting from the models they have, since there has been such inconsistency with quality control. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But for mine, this is what, you know, this is what I have for mine. So anyway, Semper Fi and God bless.